Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas. Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejados.
Because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness!
Hello everyone, I'm Alicia.
And I'm Nathan.
Welcome to episode 180 of Adventures and Mousecapades. This week we are talking about you, dear listener. There are a few of you out there and we're asking for some help.
Yeah.
If you enjoy this podcast, please go in and give us 5 stars and write a review. It really, really helps us out.
It does indeed. We were just sitting here before we hit record and looking at some of our stats, and it's really cool to see over the last 4-ish years, 3 years. Wait, has it been 3 years? It's only been 3 years? Man, it feels like longer. But yeah, it's been 3 years.
It's been forever.
No, it's been a little over 3 years.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying we're having a hockey stick moment, but it's really cool to see some organic growth happening. So yeah, we're interested in what you're interested in. What can we do? What do you want to hear us talk about? What song and dances should we do for you? We are your monkeys. We will dance.
We're not going to do song and dance. I mean, we do love singing.
We do love singing.
Yeah. But your support is really, it just means the world to us. And yeah, every little bit helps.
Yeah, it does. So thank you for being there. Thank you for downloading. It helps us know that we are not just, I think Brian and Sam over at DCL Duo like to say, like 2 idiots with microphones.
Well, I mean,
sometimes
we are, but that's okay.
That's very true. We are 2 idiots with microphones. But thank you for indulging us. And if there's something you'd love to hear us talk about or cover, please let us know. Or if you want to be on, give us a yell. Hit us up on social media. We're at Our Mousecapades just about everywhere, or send us an email, podcast@ourmousecapades.com. We'd love to hear from you, even if it's just to say hi and a little note of thanks. Thank you. With that, we decided to kind of do one of our news episodes a little early, but there's been a ton going on. So this isn't going to be our traditional look at everything. This is kind of like Mickey Mouse has a hard hat on kind of
We're
view
going to
of the
dive
world.
into a couple things, yeah.
Yeah, there is just been a ton of stuff talked about, not necessarily newly announced, but we have some new details. We have some dates on things that we knew were coming, but there weren't specifics available yet. It's been a busy week. Mm-hmm. And with that, just acknowledging that it has been a busy week for us.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, we have been through the ringer, both good and bad and everything in between. Yeah. It's been a long week.
It has. We got to see a bunch of family for a not great occasion, but it's good to see everybody.
Yep. Last weekend, we were at memorial services for 2 amazing folks. Mm-hmm. One kind of chosen family, one real family. Not that, you know what I mean. Real is not the right word, but our actual blood family. And it was somber and sad and joyful and connecting and an amazing experience. And yeah, it is just the week continued at work for both of us. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot going on. So, all right.
On to Disney.
Let's talk about Disney.
Our happy place.
This is our escape. So join us as we escape reality and go talk about, well, I guess reality. There's a bunch of stuff that was announced. We'll talk about Hollywood Studios first.
Oh, these are all over the place. I don't think these are in any order. Sorry, listeners. This is just, you're going to get my brain dumped just whenever.
So starting off, we've got over in Hollywood Studios there in Florida, Villains Unfairly After has recently opened to reviews.
Oh, have there not been great reviews? I haven't heard anything.
There's been, it has. I would say it's been lackluster reception. I think there's some script elements that could be tightened up is kind of the common theme that I've heard.
Well, it's a brand new show. I mean, that is to be expected.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Agreed.
okay.
So, yeah, we'll see how that goes.
So that opened up. And also Little Mermaid, A Musical Adventure opened up. This was a reimagining of the Little Mermaid show over in the Animation Courtyard area. Mm-hmm. This makes Hollywood Studios a very, very show-heavy park.
Yes, it
Very.
does. It does indeed. Speaking of shows, as we are sitting here on Saturday night, June 7th, recording this, 2 hours and 45 minutes ago, we lost a show. It was the final run
Yeah.
of Muppet Vision 3D. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
And yeah, sad. But it was good to see it go out in the glory that it deserved. Mm-hmm. If only we had collectively shown it more love for more often, maybe it would still be up and running.
Yep.
Anywho.
The Muppets are very loved, but people were not showing love consistently.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Let's see what else is going on. We've got the Disney Starlight Parade coming here in a little over a month or so, 6 weeks. Starts on July 20th. This is a nighttime parade coming to Walt Disney World. This will be led by the Blue Fairy, and there's all sorts of course, as Disney does, in addition to the parade, we have new merch and new food, and snacks.
Specifically for the parade.
Of course, as you do.
Yeah,
as you do.
okay. This is being led by the Blue Fairy from Pinocchio. Mm-hmm. And what makes this kind of cool is the Blue Fairy has led prior nighttime parades. She led the Main Street Electrical Parade in both Disneyland and Disney World. So having her head this one again is quite nice.
Yeah. Good to see her making a comeback.
Yeah.
We also have Geo 82 is open now at Epcot. This is a 21 and up bar and lounge. You can do fireworks packages. I've heard they're a little pricey.
It looks very fancy.
It looks quite swanky, very futuristic in that kind of Epcot retro modern kind of way.
But it's not like the bright white template. Like, it's a very kind of a bronzy color palette, which looks very nice.
It does look very nice.
It looks extremely welcoming.
Yeah. And then we have from Disney this interesting thing that they just put out a couple days ago, where you may have seen on social media a bunch of snippets from the Disney company about the economic impact that Walt Disney World and Disneyland have here in the U.S.
Couple of the highlights. Disney has a $67 billion with a B economic impact, which is more than Valentine's Day, Halloween, and Mother's Day combined.
Indeed.
And I was looking at that graph. Mother's Day is higher than both Valentine's Day and Halloween. I was like,
it does.
I didn't expect that. Okay.
Valentine's Day didn't really get a lot of love in that chart.
No. Also, 403,000 jobs, both direct and indirect. And 1 of 32 jobs in Florida are Disney related. Mm-hmm. They are the largest employer in both OCs, which is Orange County, California, and Orange County, Florida. Mm-hmm. Why is this important?
That's a great question. And the answer is politics. I think we are entering a season where, for better or worse, money talks, and Disney is about to be going to bat with, we'll say, governments in both coasts as they look forward to doing a whole bunch of permitting and projects and kickoffs and construction. And then there's just the general political overtones and economic overtones of what's going on in the country these days. Mm-hmm. This is effectively corporate lobbying out in public. It's
how much we do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hey, Governor of Florida, are you really sure that you want to negatively impact us as a business when we're employing about 3% of your tax base here in Florida? maybe think twice about that. If you don't want us to have whatever it is, 30 some odd billion dollars of economic impact driven in Florida alone, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Do you want tax revenue off of that or not? This is politics. This is just out in the open, writ large politics. I guess it's better to have it in the open now when it's not in an election season, when it doesn't look as overt, but it's still politics.
Yeah. And looking at the very bottom of this webpage that has all this information, the Florida results are from fiscal year 22 data, and the California results are from fiscal year 23 data.
Yeah, I always love how, like, and it's not just Disney who does this, like everybody does this. But like these studies and the compilation of this data is always several years old. I'm like, guys, we have more recent data.
We do have more recent data, but it's not as simple as just, here's the numbers, figure it out. I mean, I have members on my team that are data scientists that they work in all this stuff. And there's a reason that it's a couple of years behind.
Right.
It's just the sheer volume of data that they have to go through and the things that they have to compute and figure out from that.
Yep. No, I mean, I get it. It's just ironic. I just wish it would be, it makes you question like, oh, why are you cherry picking those years? Were those worse or better or like, I don't know.
Maybe that was when the study was done. That's the thing.
Yeah, but these numbers you should have every year.
Not necessarily.
Well, yeah, it depends on governments whether they're going to put this stuff out or not. And governments don't seem to be putting much data out at all anymore. So fair point. I guess the only thing I'll just kind of wrap all this this point up with is just say just know that, yes, this is impressive stuff. They are a huge employer. And I misstated earlier, it is $40 billion of economic impact in Florida alone. It's 16 plus billion in Southern California and an additional 10 billion elsewhere in the US. So there's a lot going on from Disney parks. And because that doesn't have to do with the rest of the company. This is just theme park stuff.
Yeah, this is just theme parks.
And
domestic theme parks.
Right, exactly. So it is politicking, and keep in mind, I guess, whenever you see any organization or any politician or anybody put out like these type of statements or anything that's fact-based, always question the sources. Like, just keep an eye on it. I'm not saying that Disney's lying or that this is all completely made up. I'm just saying they are telling a very specific story. What is the reason that they are telling this story? There has to be a reason they put this out, and the timing of these things is never going to be coincidental when they created a whole website just for this. Now it's really just one web page and it links to a bunch of other stuff that I already have out, but this is a PR campaign. So why did they do this now? We don't know. They may know something. They may be heading something off. It's just very interesting. Something to keep an eye on and keep in mind.
And the Florida results do include the Disney Vacation Club and Disney Cruise Line in those numbers. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why it's, well, I mean, Disney World is just bigger than Disneyland anyway. So
yeah, true.
But anyhow, very, very interesting. All right. So getting into some of our more hard hat news that has come out this week. We heard that Tom Sawyer Island, Rivers of America, and the Liberty Square Riverboat will be closing on July 7th. So in 1 month from now, Disney is giving us a 1 month heads up that this is that these attractions are closing and will be closed permanently. Interesting. I mean, we knew this was coming.
Yeah.
We didn't know a date. Do you read anything into this that it is such relatively short notice? I mean, we only have about a month.
Well, Well, people have known it has been coming. I don't know that I'm reading anything specific into this. I mean,
Yeah.
we knew that they would give notice, and Disney also has a tendency to give notice way ahead of time, and sometimes that has bitten them in the butt.
Yeah.
So, no idea. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
if you are in the Florida area and you want to see this, July 6th is going to be your very last day to be able to take part in any of these activities.
Yep. They also released some new concept art or some additional
Yes.
concept art about what this new Cars area is going to look like. It looks like it's largely centered where Tom Sawyer Island is today.
Yep.
It is going to be a off-road rally car track, I guess you would call it, around what they're calling Piston Peak.
It's Piston Peak National Park.
Indeed.
And they actually have a main character, I think it's Audubon Woodhouse or something very similar to that, who's actually a character in the Humphrey the Bear and Donald Duck shorts from earlier. But they've made Audubon a car, like they've changed it. It's Auto, like AUTO. So that's a nice little touch. I watched something a little earlier about kind of a deep dive into the concept art that they showed. And this is really interesting. There's a lot more water that they're showing in here that they have before. So it looks like we are not totally getting rid of the water. All along, I think, the Frontierland area, it looks like there's still going to be water there. And some actually up over by Big Thunder Mountain Railroad and Tiana's Bayou Adventure too. So
yeah, I thought it was really cool that they're talking about the kind of the geyser area that you go by on Big Thunder Mountain actually will extend and kind of link into geysers and water featers that are as a part of this new Cars area. And supposedly there's actually going to be kind of a walking path where you can go back in on foot in that general area and have a little walkabout amongst the geysers and stuff like that. I'm interested to see how they pull that off.
yeah,
They did such a great job with Radiator Springs Racers and that whole pathway back there, where you have all like the roadside informational signs about what you can see in the different peaks in Monument Valley and all the rest of that stuff.
Yeah.
I hope they do something like that. I think like that's really cool. That's a really great level of immersion that lets them be creative around the theming of the intellectual property of Cars, of that franchise, but still lets them create things from whole cloth and be creative and not tied to we have to tell like the story beats and be, you know, on brand or on point from what, you know, canon rather from whatever is in some story. They can stretch.
So Piston Peak National Park is actually from the movie Planes.
Right.
Yeah. From, what was that, like 2014 or something like that?
Somewhere in there.
Yeah. But in looking at the concept art, this kind of made me think of the area kind of in Disney's California Adventure, a little bit behind the Grizzly Peak water ride over there.
Yeah.
There's a couple different areas. There's like one side, it's just like really open and not much is going on over there. And then there's the Redwood Trail area. It kind of made me think of that just from the concept art.
Yeah. When we were in California a couple months ago, I forget what you guys were doing, but I ended up doing kind of a solo lap all the way around Grizzly Peak. And it's stunningly gorgeous back there. And there weren't a ton of people there. It was a really kind of nice respite from how busy the rest of the park was to find this really kind of nice area with lots of water features going. So it was a little cooler because you've got some evaporative cooling going on in there. We all know that Florida can benefit from opportunities in the parks to be a little cooled off. So I'm excited for what they can do with this landscaping and this design and a different take. Yes, I know it's, you know, from the movie Planes that you know, they're not completely creating things out of canon, but they're able to be creative around that
Yes.
and stretch and do things. I love Cars Land and California Adventure, and I can't wait to see what they do in Florida.
I really hope that they lean into the national park thing and have a lot of trees and foliage and shade and just, yeah.
Yeah, we shall see. We also heard some news on the Disney World Railroad in that it will be staying open through all of this construction. So remember, we have not just the new Piston Peak Cars ride going in, but we have Villains Land going in. So there's a lot of construction that will interrupt and probably need some track realignment and things like that over there on what we'll call it the 10 to 11 o'clock area on the hub on the clock face side of the park. And they are going to actually keep the railroad up and running. It will operate between the Main Street station and then kind of go back to the right past Tomorrowland, and it will shuttle back and forth between the Fantasyland station and the Main Street station. So I'm super glad that we won't lose the railroad. There will be that ability to get yourself to the back of Fantasyland there if you so desire.
I've also heard that they are going to be modifying the seats on the train a little bit too for people who are not okay with traveling backwards on a train. So they're going to modify the seats there. So some people can sit backwards, some people can sit forwards.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I get kind of makes sense. I mean, they could. Well, yeah, they won't. I guess the train probably will have less capacity because they're only going to be able to run one train on the tracks, whereas now they can have 2 or 3 going around. I think they can have 4, just staggered out, and they're all hitting different stations at the same time, or obviously different stations at the same time. You can't have. I'll stop here. You get what I'm trying to say. Let's go to California, shall we?
California. Avatar expansion in Disney's California Adventure, which is going to be based on the Avatar Way of Water movie, which I haven't seen yet, and the upcoming Fire and Ash. I think that's what it is.
Yes.
And this is going to be taking over the Hollywood backlot area, which means the Mike and Sully ride is going away.
Yes. Now, they said it's taking over a portion of the Hollywood backlot area, not the whole thing. So there will still be some of those Hollywood elements back there, but Mike and Sully's is definitely going to be closing. When is this going down? Do we know?
Sometime in the fall of 2026.
Okay, so we do have a long heads up on this one.
Yes.
We've got another year. If that aging Mike and Sully's ride is your jam, go make sure you get a chance to go between now and next fall in 2026 and see the Kung Fu guys and everybody else that got rethemed.
From Superstar Limo. Yep.
From Superstar Limo, exactly. Jackie Chan, say bye to Jackie Chan while you still can. We also heard that there is a Coco ride that will be opening up and being built over near Paradise Garden over by Pixar Pier. It will be in a back area kind of between Boardwalk Pizza and the Emotional Whirlwind. The concept art does show it kind of intertwined and around and sort of next to the Incredicoaster. It's good to hear that they're not going to be actually taking out the Paradise Garden Park, because that is a fantastic spot with seating and shade, and there's that beer garden and everything else back there, food. That's a fantastic place to relax, get some shade in that park. But there will be another ride going in over there for Coco.
And it's going to take, like we said, it's going to take part of the backlot area. So it'll be interesting to see, just looking at some of the maps of that area, how they're going to partition that. There's a couple different ways that they can go. Yeah.
Now, I've heard some rumblings, seen some rumblings online that people aren't necessarily anti-Avatar or definitely not anti-Coco, but they're lamenting that some of the Hollywood elements are getting pulled out of California Adventure. And they're like, California Adventure isn't even really California Adventure anymore. I think that ship sailed a very long time ago when California Adventure Park opened originally and largely flopped and had to be wholesale reworked and rethemed in major areas to be what it is today. It's gone through multiple identity crises, if you will. Here's the question for you. Do you think this theme park here across the Esplanade from the OG Disneyland park stays named Disney's California Adventure, or does it get renamed?
Like Hollywood Studios Paris?
Yeah.
Or Walt Disney Studios? Sorry. It's
Right.
Adventure World now or something like that.
Right.
Maybe. I mean, Disney's done that in the past.
Yeah.
Forever MGM.
Well, that was a
That's true.
branding licensing
Okay,
deal.
whatever.
This would be more like retheming or renaming the park there
Yeah.
over in Paris. But what would you call it if you were, in charge?
All right.
And it's
what do
not
we
going to be
have
called
there?
California Adventure. What would you call that whole theme park?
Well, there's still a California part to it with like the Grizzly Peak area and the Redwood Trail over there.
Yeah.
You have Avengers. You're going to have Avatar. You have Pixar Pier, Cars Land.
Right. So like Pixar Pier is largely themed after, pier-based amusement parks in the Northeast. You've got Cars Land, which is kind of the desert Southwest. You have Avengers Campus, which is arguably, like most of the Avengers stuff takes place in New York or that campus, I guess, would be in upstate New York or wherever. I mean, you have these huge swaths that are definitely not California.
Avatar's off planet.
True. Exactly. Right. You're helping my point here. I mean, yeah, there's elements that are so California-ish, but
No, I don't think it's necessarily because they're saying, here's the adventure you can do in California. It's the park is in California. Have an adventure.
all right. Got it. Disney's Adventure in California.
Sure.
All right. Maybe it's just the Disney Adventure Park. DAP. Just throwing that out. Anyhow, clearly that fell flat. Moving on. We also heard that they're going to be opening a new parking structure and transportation hub there for those two combined resorts. This will be over on the east side of Disneyland across Harbor Boulevard. It will be consuming part of what is today a cast member parking lot. We've got some concept art that shows a rather impressive pedestrian bridge that going across Harbor Boulevard, kind of a revamped front entrance or main entryway into the park from kind of the Anaheim side versus coming in from the opposite end, which is downtown Disney and the Disneyland Hotel and things like that. So it looks really cool.
It does.
No complaints from me. I mean, it is a thing.
I did see a deep dive of this concept art too, and I will say, looking at the concept art, it totally gets rid of where the buses drop off right now.
So that's interesting because I looked at that and I could kind of see some area where it would look like buses would be dropping off.
That is
over
currently the emergency area drop off. There's a helipad over there.
Oh.
Yeah. It is not big enough. It's for emergency vehicles. It is not big enough for
interesting.
All the buses that they have now.
So the thinking would be that the buses would drop off on the other side of Harbor and then everybody takes this walking bridge across the road.
If you're using a bus, yes. There's also the tram from downtown Disney, and there's also, you can still walk in
From
not
Harbor.
over the bridge, but walk in from Harbor too.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I wonder if they try to discourage people taking street level access across Harbor Boulevard and end up building some ramps up from that sidewalk or some elevators for accessible to get folks up to that bridge to get over the road.
It didn't, oh yeah, from that side maybe.
Yeah. Because we've stayed at Good Neighbor Hotels over there
Yeah.
several times and have effectively used, there's a big crosswalk there today where you can get across harbor to get into Disneyland. So this is effectively replacing all that.
I don't know that it will. I think that will still be there. This is for all the transportation because they are building a new parking deck too. And I think that's where the buses are going to be dropping off now, is over in that area.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to see, because I think, it would be risky for them to cut those businesses off from that foot traffic that are right there on harbor. So
True.
you may
Even
be
though
right.
Disney was at first, but
Yeah,
yes.
you may be right. Yeah, yeah. So we'll have to see. But I think this is the first major shoe that is dropping in some very specifics that are coming out of the whole Disneyland Forward concepts that they know they need to do some big things, and this is setting some of that up to free up some other room to let them build some things. Because if you take those buses out of the Disneyland and California Adventure side of harbor and put those on the other side of the road, now you're opening up all of that real estate to be used for guest areas, for
Avatar?
for Avatar, or for other things that they haven't even announced yet.
Yeah.
So we will see. We are eagerly awaiting.
All right, some news nobody was expecting. Disney announced a new park.
In Abu Dhabi, yes.
Abu
We
Dhabi.
talked a little bit about this last week. This is a partnership with the Miral Group, or Miral, or however they want to pronounce that. It is a full licensing agreement. There is no Disney capital involved at all. This is very similar to how Tokyo Disney and Tokyo Disney Sea are run. And there is a Miral effectively is that in-country entity that is fronting the capital and will be running operations of the park. And then Disney basically has signed a licensing deal and is the design consultants, if you will. Imagineering will be heavily involved in the design and theming and construction of this new park. So they are expecting it to take about 18 months to potentially 2 years for a design phase, and then about 5 years to build. They've already been working on the design, so they're expecting this to open 2030 or so.
Yeah.
So it will be very interesting to see what shows up here. I don't necessarily want to rehash all of our thoughts about this that we had from last week's episode.
Yeah.
If you haven't listened to last week's episode, please go listen to that. But just know that many in the Disney community have some concerns and rather large questions about a partnership with an entity in Abu Dhabi based on some stark cultural differences between Disney values, at least their espoused values here in the United States, and what happens on the ground there in the Middle East. So these are all valid perspectives. Yes. We can be of two minds of these things. We can all be excited for something. We could all have some serious questions as well. It is okay to yes and.
Yeah. Continuing with parks not in the U.S., there's some new concept art that's out for Tokyo Disney, which is owned by the Oriental Land Company. These are changes and expansions. And just looking at the concept art, there could be potential changes to Adventureland and Westerland, like removal of Jungle Cruise, the Tiki Room, and the Swiss Family Treehouse.
Okay, I am upset about two of those three that you just mentioned.
Oh, and the railroad. Yeah.
Wow. These would be massive changes to a castle park.
Nothing has been set in stone yet, but just based on the concept art that Disney has put out, it's like, where are these rides? Yeah.
That is very, very interesting. Have they said what they're thinking of doing?
No, they've just released some concept art saying that there's going to be some changes in expansion.
Huh. What was in the art? Just some big buildings and fancy, beautiful lines that really don't show anything.
Yep.
Got it. Okay. It sounds fair. It was very conceptual there, the
Yes.
concept art. Yeah. So again, this is, Tokyo Disney. This is owned and operated by the Oriental Land Company. OLC is that in-market provider. They front all the cash for all this stuff, and they execute really, really well.
Yep.
It will be interesting to see what comes of this. As a Disney Parks fan, between Jungle Cruise and Tiki Room, and even the railroad, like those are things that feel like I don't know how you do a castle park without those things. However, in an international market, like I could see how some of these things aren't necessarily cultural fits.
Yeah.
And like it is, can you have that same level of snark in an international park where you may have people visiting from, not just who are speaking Japanese, but from elsewhere as well? Like, is that, do the jokes on the Jungle Cruise connect when not everybody is of a common language? Now, obviously, we have people who go to Florida or Disneyland who don't speak English, but, it's just interesting. Tiki Room, that would be sad as well. Railroad, bummer. Swiss Family Treehouse, like I don't understand why they rebuilt and refreshed the Swiss Family Treehouse in California. Like, nobody has that IP in front of mine. Like, that is just not.
I mean, if they're releasing a new movie about it or something, or a series, but they haven't.
I don't understand.
Okay, I just looked something up. There's, it could feature attractions inspired by Pixar's Up and The Incredibles.
Okay, I don't have any complaints about either of those. More change. The only constant is change.
Exactly.
Speaking of, Tokyo Disney Sea is possibly going to be removing Aquatopia. This is basically it's bumper cars on water. Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll need to go to Japan sooner than later.
Yeah, they're saying that it's probably going to start around 2029.
All right, maybe you and I need to make a trip over there in 27.
Oh my gosh.
Anyhow, they're thinking of removing Aquatopia to replace it with a potential indoor dark ride. At least that's what it looks like based on some of the concept art that's out there. So we shall see what we shall see. But there's a lot going on. A lot of things are getting announced. And this is very interesting to have these big construction projects have some of these details come out ahead of D23. Mm-hmm. That is the version this year.
Destination
D23 is this year. Thank you, Alicia. As opposed, this is in Florida in August, as opposed to D23 Expo, which is the one that's every other year in California. These alternate. So, it's they're talking about things going away.
Mm-hmm. They don't like to say that.
They don't like to say these things during the D23. They want to focus on the positives of what's coming. So they may be tipping their hand a little bit at some of the announcements that we will hear about here in a couple months at Destination D23. So we will keep our ears and eyes to the ground for more news about what's going on at Tokyo Disney coming up here in August.
One thing we forgot to mention when we were talking about Hollywood Studios is we got some information today about the closure of Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith. Mm-hmm. That is going to be running through the remainder of 2025. And the new Rock and Roller Coaster starring Electric Mayhem and the Muppets will be opening sometime in 2026.
Yeah. So this is good news. That means that they were planning to execute a ride down maintenance and refresh, reimagining, if you will, in under a year, because they are expecting this to effectively go down probably right after the holidays. It would be our guess. They have not said that. They are just saying that the current iteration of Rock and Roller Coaster with Aerosmith will be running through the end of 2025. I'm reading that as they will pull it down as soon as the holiday season is done. There in January. And then, just guessing, we're probably looking at a 6 to 9 month refresh of roller coaster. So hopefully a lot of that is going to be spent working on the theming elements, because Rock and Roller Coaster has undergone some major and significant downtime periods in the last couple years. So I don't know that it needs a whole like track replacement and all the rest of that stuff like we're seeing at Big Thunder right now, or needs to happen. So hopefully, and especially with an attraction that's in a building, it would take a lot longer to do a major overhaul if you were replacing major sections of track or all of the track or something like that. So the fact that they're planning to go down and come back up within the calendar year 2026 is frankly exciting, because I was afraid that this was going to go down for an extended amount of time. So, and I also think it is a realization that with the Muppets Courtyard gone and other things going on there in Hollywood Studios, they have got to get this ride turned around as fast as they can.
They need to, especially, yeah.
I don't think they could afford to have this ride down for 2 years to do a massive overhaul. So, well, it'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out. So. Yeah, lots of stuff going on. Get your construction hats ready. We are excited to see what comes out of all this.
Indeed. I'm ready to ride the Electric Mayhem ride.
Heck yeah. Amen to that.
Remember, we are not affiliated with Disney or their subsidiaries. These are personal opinions and suggestions based on our own experiences. We recommend working with a travel agent or contacting Disney directly to plan your perfect vacation.
If you have questions or suggestions or would like to be interviewed on our show to share your Disney experience, please send an email to podcast@ourmousecapades.com.
Follow us on socials. We are at Our Mousecapades. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, and YouTube.
Please do give us a rating and review in your favorite podcast app. That really, really helps people find us, sends the algorithm our way, and grows this little community of ours. If you're watching this on YouTube, please smash that subscribe button, ring that bell, all of that good cliche stuff. Leave us a comment, give us a thumbs up. Do the thing, y'all.
And of course, don't hesitate to share us with your friends and fellow Disney lovers of all ages.
What, was that too much? Anyway, thanks for listening. We'll be in your ears next week.
Thank you for flying Star Tours. Bye-bye.